Monsters are loose.
Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve this scary scarecrow makeup. So this scarecrow is actually inspired by numerous things. So the first thing that inspired me was actually last year when I did my scary pumpkin makeup tutorial. That was originally supposed to be a scary scarecrow makeup tutorial, and very last minute, as I sat down to film, I just decided to completely change it into a pumpkin. So this year I thought I actually would complete this scary scarecrow that I had intended to do last year. Now I was having a very hard time trying to imagine exactly how I wanted my scarecrow to look because I wanted him to be terrifying. I didn't want him to just be some little scarecrow or just gluing burlap to my face. I wanted to actually create a terrifying looking scarecrow that you could potentially see in a horror movie. So for that I did some research and I was looking at Grim Stitch Factory, and I took inspiration from their Hatchet Scarecrow. This is a mask and it is so amazing. All of the masks are handmade and this one was so detailed, and what I loved about it is how they incorporated the little pieces of metal. So I definitely wanted to do that. So I definitely took a lot of inspiration from that to just kind of get the base idea of how I wanted to form my scarecrow. They have so many scarecrows for sale that if you guys need a scarecrow mask and you don't necessarily have the time or want to do a makeup tutorial, then definitely check out their website. And the last thing that inspired me for this makeup look was the Trapper from Dead by Daylight. Now the Trapper is by no means a scarecrow, but he's definitely scary all the same. I love the way that he was built and the way he carried himself, so I try to mimic my mannerisms from him and even mimic a few pieces of my prosthetic from him as well. Now something I was really debating doing this year was making a cinematic Halloween piece. Last year I did Pennywise and I added a cinematic intro for him and I absolutely loved it. But whenever I was scheduling my looks this year, there wasn't a look that really stood out to be cinematic to me, like one that I could, get really cool shots of and make a full body costume out of it. So I almost wasn't going to do one this year until very last minute. I was in Joann Fabrics and someone showed me a picture of a barn and it just clicked and I knew I could do it for my scary scarecrow. So with that being said, I could not do this without the help of numerous people. First off being my parents, because they've helped me try and put this costume together. They've stayed up and pulled all-nighters with me when I'm trying to stitch things together and kind of make sure everything is looking how I want it to. And another huge shout out goes to my big brother, Nick, because he was helping me throughout this entire process. He was right there by my side. He was helping me storyline this look to try and figure out the angles that I was going to want and really creating the character with me and helping me create little different traits about this character that I could incorporate into both the makeup and my mannerisms. And my last huge thank you goes out to my good friend Darren Garcia. Darren also has a channel here on YouTube called Native Us, and he posts amazing cinematic vlog content. I'm gonna leave him linked down below because I swear everything he captures on film just comes to life through the screen and it is so amazing. He helped film, he helped edit, and he's just been a really amazing help this entire project. So anyways, with all that being said, if you guys are interested in seeing how you can achieve this scary scarecrow makeup, then just keep watching. Hey guys, so to start off, I'm going to be showing you how you can make your very own scary scarecrow costume for a really affordable price, and that is really easy. First off, you're just going to be taking a square piece of burlap that is whatever size that you would like. I decided to make mine just barely longer than the size of the shirt, just so we can make sure that it kind of hangs over and looks a little creepy, and you can cut off the excess however you would like. We're then going to be taking a pair of scissors and making a bunch of random cuts along the edges of our burlap just to fray them and make it look more distressed. We're also going to be taking the scissors to the top of the burlap as well, just so we can give that the distressed look as well, because that part is going to be very visible to the audience. And as you can see, I'm literally just swiping it. And I actually would not recommend this because I don't want to be the reason you guys accidentally stab yourself in the hand. So what I would recommend is maybe taking, like a little razor or something, and always, brush it away from you. Maybe do this on some cardboard. Just do this as safe as possible, because I did end up cutting my hand. But, I'm my own worst enemy, so just please be safe. We're then going to be folding the burlap in half and cutting out a semicircle in the very center of it. This is going to create a full circle that we can fit our head through. Not gonna lie, I just guesstimated the size of my head and I was pretty right. You can always adjust this if needed. I would always start smaller and slowly make it bigger, but you definitely want it to be comfortable so you're not suffocating. Anyways, what I'm doing now is I'm just taking some black acrylic paint and some water to help dilute it a little bit and make it a little bit thinner. I'm just going to be stroking this all along the entire piece of burlap, just trying to make it look ragged and old and definitely distressed. So I'm just going to be doing this the entire time and starting to try and really make it look dirty. If you want to be authentic, literally just throw this around in some mud, but I'm not going to recommend that because I'm here to keep you guys clean. We're also going to be going into just normal black acrylic paint that is not watered down, so we can get a few areas that are more pigmented than others. And we're also going to be adding in some brown acrylic paint as well, just to kind of help add a little bit more dimension and variation of color. We're then also going to be distressing the shirt itself, and once again, please be safe. Don't do as I do as I say, because I love you guys, and once again, I want your fingers to be only covered in fake blood, not real blood. Thank you from my dog and I. We're then going to be fraying the bottom of the shirt and the sleeves of the shirt as well, like we did with the burlap. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I literally got every single piece of this costume from Walmart. The shirt I got from the men's section in a size medium. The trousers I got in a size, I believe it was 32 in the men's section. They're just really dark brown pants. I also got the gloves from the work section in Walmart, and the burlap you can also get from Walmart as well. We're then going to be adding the same discoloration to the shirt as well, because let's be real, if you are a sweaty mess, your bib is not the only thing that is going to be disgusting. Your shirt is going to be seeping with stuff. Now, whether your shirt is covered in sweat or blood or feces, that's not up to me. That's completely up to you and your victim and your creative mind. And now it's time to get our hands dirty. We're going to be discoloring the gloves and trying to make them look really dirty. I bought these because I knew I wanted to literally just absolutely destroy them and glue stuff onto them. But if you happen to have an old pair of work gloves, that would work just as well. This part isn't even 100% necessary. You could easily cover your hands with burlap or figure something else out, but I wanted to make my hands look bigger so I looked more intimidating. We're then going to be taking some vampire blood from Walmart and just applying this all over our gloves to really help bloody them up, because, whatever you're doing your business with and you have gloves on, it's probably gonna get all over those gloves. Whatever you touch, you're gonna be tainted. And something I highly recommend to you guys is anytime you're building a prosthetic from scratch, or you are discoloring some costumes and using blood and just throwing blood either on a set or on props or costumes, I always recommend going to Walmart during Halloween and stocking up on latex and fake blood, simply because it is cheaper and it's not as nice, so you're not wasting good products. So for example, if you go out and buy stuff from Nigel's Beauty Emporium and you're spending a lot of money on high quality stuff that's really good for your face, you're kind of wasting that product when you could just use cheaper stuff that works just as well for the cheaper part, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because the last thing you want is to be using cheap, bad latex on your face and using good, expensive latex on costumes. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Financial advice from yours truly. We're then also going to be applying that fake blood to your burlap bib as well. We're We're then going to be distressing the jeans, and you really want to make this part darker if your pants happen to be darker, just to make sure that it is visible. Plus, the way that I'm trying to represent the pants is to definitely make it look like dirt. So I'm trying to apply it in the areas that would naturally get dirty if you were to either kneel or sit in the mud for whatever reason. Next, we're going to be moving on to making our prosthetic. You're going to start off by taking some petroleum jelly and just applying that all over your life cast. This is going to help make the removing process a heck of a ton easier. Next, we're going to be taking our liquid latex and cotton balls and starting to build up the shape of our prosthetic. So you want to go ahead and lay down a layer of latex before applying your cotton ball, and then you're going to apply more latex over top to seal that, and then you can kind of form that a little easier if you apply some latex to your finger. You can smooth it out and help reshape that. Something to keep in mind is that cotton and latex is a little bit more difficult to remove from the life cast than, for example, latex paste is. I don't really know why. It probably has something to do with the cotton. So you don't want to do too much of this all over the face. That is why we're actually going to be going in with our latex paste. So to make latex paste, you're just going to be taking some liquid latex and flour. And you're going to start off by filling up a bowl with your liquid latex and slowly applying flour until you get a nice paste. And then you're going to go ahead and apply that onto your prosthetic. This is really nice, and I definitely love using this to kind of build up size of the prosthetic and kind of use this for the majority, just because it's so cheap and it just really saves a lot of time, and this is really easy to smooth out. Once I've applied that all over the face, I'm then going to be going back over certain areas with the cotton and latex just so I can help rebuild up the shape if it was lost in the latex paste. And as you can see, I applied the latex paste almost everywhere. I brought it down to my neck. I applied it over the top of my head. The only areas you want to leave open is the eyes in the shape that you would like, under your nose because you need to be able to breathe, and your mouth because you want to be able to talk easily in this, and you also kind of want to be able to see your lips under the prosthetic as well, just to kind of help make it look a little bit more dense and kind of freaky. We're then going to be going back into our cotton and latex, and we're actually going to build up a slit in his skull, almost as if someone took a hatchet to him at some point. We just want to definitely have two areas where we are going to separate the colors of the burlap and kind of show a little bit more of the black underneath, literally like somebody, just sliced him at some point. You're then going to go back in and apply a little bit more of your latex paste to the sides of the head to not only build up the size, but to also literally help enhance the slit. I went ahead and left that to dry overnight, and now we're going to be going on to our paint job. I'm going to be taking my Mare on Paradise paint in black and literally just applying this all over the prosthetic. And the reason I'm doing this is because you can just go ahead and apply the burlap over top, but burlap has a whole bunch of holes in it, and so you're going to be able to see a little bit underneath. So I didn't want you to be able to see the latex. I just felt like that wasn't going to distress it enough and really make it look realistic. So you want to apply black underneath just so you can make it look dirty, and so it actually has color, and this is going to add more dimension to your prosthetic before you go over top with the burlap, because trust me, you will still be able to see through the burlap, but it's gonna be kind of neat being able to see through to black, in my opinion. We're then going to be taking our liquid latex and a sponge and applying this to the area that we are going to add our burlap. So I'm just applying this right under my lips, creating a nice square before taking one of our many shades of burlap. Honestly, something that's great is to literally just get so many different yards of burlap, so you have a bunch of different options to choose from, and we're just going to be randomly applying it over the face just to kind of help break up the texture and the color, and I feel like this kind of helps make it look a little cooler and more realistic. So I'm just going to be pressing that in, making sure it's firm before going in with the other side of the mouth, and then just continuing this all over the face, making sure to kind of cut areas that fit but still give me a little bit of movement. And another thing is to also consider maybe distressing some of the burlap, kind of ripping up pieces just to kind of break it up and also make that look a little bit more matching towards your outfit. We're then going to be taking our PPI Skin Illustrator Flesh Palette, taking Cedar Brown and Midnight Brown and mixing those together with our 99% alcohol and just applying this over the prosthetic. You want to, once again, dingy up your burlap, make it look used and worn, and kind of really focus on the areas that have a split or a close to an opening, because that's going to have more air flowing through it, and it's just going to kind of look more realistic to add a little bit more depth to the creases. We're then going to be going into our PPI Skin Illustrator FX palette, taking our black alcohol activated paint and applying this right over top just to add more dimension to those crevices. We're also going to be taking our blood tone and our aged blood and doing the exact same thing, but this one you can add a little bit more sporadically since this is supposed to represent a little bit of our dried blood. Speaking of blood, where there's dried blood, there may also be some fresh blood. So for this, I'm going to be going back into my Walmart vampire blood and just applying this right over top as well. Next, you're going to be taking some small rope and you're going to be cutting it to size and coloring it with your alcohol activated paints just to make it look dirty, and then hot gluing it on to the burlap. This is really going to help make it look creepy, and definitely like some pieces were obviously stitched together. And something I really recommend you guys doing is going to Michael's, getting these little frame bolts, and then coloring that with your alcohol activated paints until it looks like this to kind of make it look rusty, and then hot gluing that onto your prosthetic as well. These are super cheap and they really help make this look definitely more unique because it incorporates metal. Usually when you see scarecrows, it's all just stitching, but this definitely adds an entirely new element to your prosthetic. We're then going to be going back into our Madalyn Paradise paint in black and applying this around the stitching and the metal. This is really going to help make it look like it is actually coming out of the prosthetic. I'm then going to be taking a few bigger frame bolts that I have and applying that to the side and the bottom of the prosthetic as well, just so we have a little bit more variation in size. And the next thing you're going to do is take some of your Johnson's baby powder into a bowl with a clean brush and slowly begin removing your prosthetic from the life cast. Now, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be patient and to work slowly. This probably took me about 30 minutes, but just turn on some good music and enjoy the ride, because the last thing you want is to spend so much time and effort on a prosthetic just to rip it and have it not applied to your face properly, or just have wasted all of that time on something that isn't even going to work. So please just take your time, and then it's going to pop right off, and you just want to make sure that it is completely saturated in the baby powder so that it is sealed. We're going to be jumping back over to our costume, and once again going back into our burlap pieces, we're going to be adding a few patches onto our clothing. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply some randomly on my shirt, my trousers, my gloves, anywhere that is necessary. Before we move on to coloring it, I'm going to be going back into my Madalyn Paradise paint and my alcohol activated body paints and just making these look dirty and a little bit more matching towards the little bib that we have and also our prosthetic. And the last step in the costume is to cut out a long piece of your burlap, add some nice fraying towards the edges, and you're going to hot glue that to the inside hem of your long sleeve shirt, and you're going to be doing this on the wrists as well. This is really going to create a nice underlayer, almost looking like you have either hay or burlap underneath your shirt. And now we are finally moving on to the application process. You're going to start off by taking some Vaseline, slicking your hair back, and applying this all over your hair and your baby hairs, because you don't want to rip those out, and you want to apply it onto your eyebrows and eyelashes as well, just to be safe. We're then going to be taking our Madalyn Paradise paint in black and applying this over the areas that you're going to be able to see through the prosthetic. So this is going to be around the nose, the mouth area, and your eyes. You don't want to apply this all over your face unless you have to, simply because that is going to be making applying the spirit gum a little bit more difficult, because it's not really going to want to fully adhere to the makeup, but it still will. It's just going to be firmer if you don't have any makeup on underneath. So you also want to bring this down to your neck as well, and you also want to tightline your eyes, because you just want to make sure you have a dark soul. And sometimes that darkness goes deeper than you know, because we had to put in our black Sclera lenses, which I almost forgot to do, which would have been bad because putting it on through the prosthetic is just a little bit difficult to do. I did have to do it again earlier because one of them popped out, but it's no biggie. It's fine. They look great. So something I definitely had to do was I had to reapply the black body paint all over the eye area, simply because these things will make you cry. You'll spend like 30 minutes trying to put them in, and it will just make you cry, and it will make you cry off all of the makeup you just applied. So you definitely want to make sure to go ahead and go into some black eyeshadow and set that, just so it doesn't move. We're then going to be taking our Ben Nye spirit gum and applying this all over the face and waiting for it to get tacky before taking our pantyhose and just patting that onto the spirit gum to make sure it's tacky. Then we're going to be picking up our prosthetic and pressing that onto our face. You want to focus it on the center of the face to make sure it's lined up with all of your features, but also to make sure that it is firm there, because it is easier to go in with the spirit gum on the outer edges than it is on the center of the face. Now, you're more than welcome to use liquid latex as the adhesive, but I'm not gonna lie, I personally find that it's not strong enough to hold my prosthetics, so I personally just like to use spirit gum. I'm then going to be applying a bobby pin to hold the prosthetic to the side of my head. If you're wearing a bald cap, you can totally skip this step because then you can just apply the adhesive to your prosthetic and then it's going to stick to the bald cap. But for this look specifically and what I was doing with it, I didn't see the need to have a bald cap, so I was just going to save a little bit of time and money on that one. And last but not least, I'm going to be applying a little bit more of my black body paint around the mouth area just to really add more depth and dimension. And that is the completed Scarecrow look. From the costume to the prosthetic, you guys have a complete Scarecrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this project. A big shout out to Nick and Darren for helping me out once again. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out Darren's channel. I will leave that linked down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. I will be uploading a new Halloween themed makeup tutorial every weekday for the month of October, and every Saturday I upload a Spoopy Saturday. So anyways, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! I'm a sweaty mess right now. I kind of look like one of those ink blot tests. Abstract makeup whoomst. I smell so bad. This is like a weird Halloween look in of itself, so not gonna lie, putting these contact lenses in probably took the longest out of this entire application process. I'm so excited to shower. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, I actually jumped a little. I'm sorry.
Wait,
Are you satisfied?